only in top 16, so this is one of 4 matches these trainers will have to win. If they
going into this matchup, is this something he's prepared for? We'll have to see. Is heading into game number 1. Archaladon and Incineroar for Wolfe, going up against Rillaboom and Golden Go for Tang.
The Golden Go, I feel like you almost have to lead if you're Justin here, just to give yourself that flexibility to swap it out if Gothitelle does hit the field at first, but that does in turn make Incineroar a very strong lead for Wolfe. The Incineroar is very, very good into pretty much any kind of Golden Go you'll ever see, and especially considering this Rillaboom next to it, it is sitting in a very good spot with the Intimidate, with the ability to pivot and fake out as well.
And when we're looking at these Pokemon and looking at the Rillaboom out on the field, it does have a way to be pressuring a bit with the high horsepower. So it does have that coverage for this, but we're going to see Terastallization right off the bat.
It is going to be the Archaladon, so we're probably going to be seeing an Electro Shot immediately coming through. That Terra Electric will remove all weaknesses but ground and power up that Electro Shot even further. Again, because of the Power Herb, we'll be able to get it off on this turn, but Fake Out comes through instead.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a little bit down the line for that to Fake Out, and Archaladon unable to attack means it's a Golden Go that can go ahead and set up, going for that Nasty Plot. +2 to the special attack, and -2 now to the attack of this Rillaboom as Parting Shot and Incineroar looking to re-pivot.
Really smart parting shot there as well. Obviously, you cannot parting shot a Golden Go because of the good as gold. And this Rillaboom now is the only thing that threatens super effective damage into our Archaladon with the high horsepower. But now at -2 attack, even with that Terra Electric, keeping that ground weakness on the Archaladon, not something you need to worry about. We did also see the flinch on the Archaladon happen before the Golden Go went for Nasty Plot. So that should indicate that Archaladon is faster and should be able to get off an Electro Shot into that slot. With the Terra Electric, it might even be enough for a one-hit KO.
Especially, too, we talked about the speed controls and all of this stuff, but the Rillaboom, that's going to be flinched from this Gothitelle hitting the field. So Rillaboom unable to try and go for that speed drop, and now the Archaladon, Terra Electric, that's going to be the Power Herb, that's going to be the special attack raise, and that is going to be a strong Electric Shot firing onto the other end of the field. Of course, we got to see the boost coming on from the Golden Go, ones that it won't be able to use. That's a clean one-hit KO.
Huge knockout there for Wolfe. Golden Go can be a really big problem for a team like his that relies so heavily on Shadow Tag, either to keep the weather in your favor or to keep the Perish Song lock active. And Golden Go going down means that the Ghost type is gone. We do see Sneasler available, so there is a possibility for the Ghost Terra. Same with the Alolan Ninetales, actually, also the Terra Ghost. So now all is not lost for Justin here, but that's a really big piece missing because it also is a huge source of offense. You got that Nasty Plot off and you didn't get to do any damage with it at all.
No, and that has got to hurt. Now going on to this turn, you do have ways to be pressuring a bit of damage with this Sneasler. One of those Pokemon that came in and instantly was the talk of the town in this format, being able to fire off a really strong attack onto the opposing end. But there is also the possibility if Wolfe wants to try and get that weather online for himself and switch in a Politoed, it's Electro Shots he can just keep going for.
Yeah, these Electro Shots are still very scary, but of course Flash Cannon and Dragon Pulse, both nothing to scoff at either with that +1 special attack boost. The Sneasler is not running the Focus Sash, it is holding the White Herb like you see there to activate Unburden. So if it does have to take an attack, there is no way it can hold on with that Focus Sash.
Well, we will roll a status onto that Gothitelle, but the poison, maybe hoping that you can get one of the other two. High horsepower is super effective into the Archaladon. Certainly doesn't look like it. And +1 Dragon Pulse brings Sneasler down low. Now, we talked about speed control. Wolfe has all of that on his side as Trick Room, the Dimensions, now the slowest Pokemon going first.
Love that Trick Room. That's really good for Wolfe, as we do see the Archaladon acting after both Sneasler and Rillaboom, so it should be the faster thing on the field this turn. And of course, Gothitelle is still packing Psychic. It does have the potential to do some damage. Will easily knock out this Sneasler thanks to that double weakness. And even if you do opt to Terastallize the Sneasler, you'd have to protect it this turn and then be able to swap it out on the following turn. But then something else probably has to take either a Psychic or an attack from this +1 Archaladon at the same time. And this Rillaboom doesn't have U-turn. Like, you're locked in the field at -2 attack. We saw how little that high horsepower did.
Yeah, the best you're looking for is a little damage over time, maybe a critical hit, but when there is the Protect in there, it's going to be that recovery coming on through from the leftovers. It's going to be an Archaladon that might be sticking around a little bit longer than Tang would like. We're seeing the Protect coming on through, one apiece, and it's just going to be no damage, a little bit recovery for everyone.
A little bit of a dead turn there. The Grassy Terrain recovery probably not going to be very needle moving at this point in the game. A Psychic from Gothitelle clearly still knocks out Sneasler. Probably does it from full HP if we're being honest. And now the high horsepower, the Archaladon doesn't take any damage, of course, but maybe that was an opportunity to get some damage going with your own Dragon Pulse or Flash Cannon into that slot. Sneasler double protects, though. Could be interesting to stall out this Trick Room.
Yeah, we got a long ways to go, but the longer that this Gothitelle is psychicking into the Sneasler, is longer that, you know, the Rillaboom's not taking the hit and can start going on to the other end. But our Chaladon not going for the protect, the +1, a good amount of damage into the Rillaboom, and that's not damage that's necessarily being returned.
It's not. I mean, this high horsepower, that's 2 of them now into the Archelodon, despite it being weak to ground, still sitting very well over half of its HP remaining. And Sneasler here, maybe at a point where if you do Terrastalize it, could actually stomach a Psychic, thanks to a couple turns of Grassy Terrain recovery. Now, Gothitelle isn't known for being the strongest of Pokemon, especially on a team like this, where you're most likely going to be training it to be fully defensive and bulky. Grassy Terrain does end, though, so no more recovery and no more boosted Grass-type attacks from Rillaboom. Also, notably, no more priority Grassy Glide. That's something that has been taken out of play.
Try to go for the triple and definitely respect it. Unfortunately, that will be the fail. So Psychic, 3rd time's the charm. Finally going to go ahead and take the Sneasler down. You talked about the Terrastalization, but that also would have hurt if you did Terrastalize and it still gets KO'd anyways. So maybe feeling that's a little bit safer. Dragon Pulse follow-up, our Chaladon into the Rillaboom. Enough for the double KO for Wolfe on this turn. And now only 1 Pokemon remaining for Justin Tang. And Wolfe, there's barely been a dent on this team.
Wolfe has played this very, very well. The immediate lockdown with the Gothitelle pivoting out from the Incineroar on that first turn, enabling this Archelodon to remain on the field against Rillaboom, which has a really hard time damaging it at -2 attack, and this Sneasler in Trick Room just really set up this Archelodon to start taking some immediate KOs. Of course, that +1 Terra Electric Electro Shot, when it KOing Golden Go, was a huge swing for Wolfe there, and I think this game goes a little bit differently if Golden Go survives that, but I think taking advantage of maybe Justin overcorrecting for like a Perish or a Rain mode and making use of this Archelodon very well.
We'll get to see the late game Terrastalization coming out from Justin. Of course, when we're looking at the Flash Cannon on the other end, I don't think this Ninetales has nearly enough in the tank to get anything quite done in this match. Opportunity to think about going forward, get a little bit more information. The follow-up, Psychic followed with the Flash Cannon, enough regardless, and that's going to be Wolfe Glick up 1 in the series.
Great playing by Wolfe there. Of course, the game plan, when you look at Wolfe's team, you might immediately think, oh, Politoed Kingdra is really scary. You know, Politoed Gothitelle with Perish Song is really scary. And sometimes the Archelodon can kind of slip through the cracks there because it's on a team comp that you don't normally see it with. Mostly it's the Pelipers, the Basque Legions that are next to it. But it is still an Archelodon. It is still electroshotting you and doing a lot of damage and boosting itself up in the meantime. And even though it doesn't have that stamina with the body press, Sturdy is still there, which is a pretty scary ability in its own right. And Wolfe basically just said, I don't think you're going to bring the right team to deal with this Archelodon because the rest of my team scares you so much. And so he took really good advantage of that right off the bat.
Yeah, and a couple of the pieces looked correct. Again, this Golden Go could pressure so much, but when it goes down the second turn of the battle, you might have the right piece, but if you can't use it, it's not really going to matter in the end. And being able to suppress that Rillaboom right away, you get the Intimidate, you get the Parting Shot, and then you trap it onto the field. Yes, something like this drum baiting is a really cool piece of tech, but that's one of those moments where it's like, man, if I had a U-turn, I could have then gotten that attack back. And hey, there's a reason this Incineroar is at 61% usage here on day 2. It's pretty okay. This
Golden Go, I think, is so important for Justin. Of course, it has the ability to switch out of Shadow Tag, being a Ghost type. It does have the Water type Terra as well, which could come in handy if Wolfe does opt to bring the Kingdra Politoed mode of this team. But the pitfall of that is that, one, if you're a Water type, you've opened yourself up to a super effective Electro Shot. I'm not sure if that actually matters because we saw it get knocked out by the neutral one anyway. But I think more importantly, if Wolfe is able to force that Golden Go to Terrastalize, it is no longer a Ghost type. It will be trapped by that Shadow Tag. So I think Justin needs to be a little bit more careful with that Golden Go if he wants a chance to kind of pivot his way into a different game plan for the second game here.
I mean, if you're able to just put enough damage on and you don't necessarily feel the most threatened, you can go ahead and Terrastalize. It's whether you have enough in the tank there is. Going into game number 2 here, Rillaboom, Golden Go again for Tang, and Archelodon and Incineroar. So get to see a little bit of a repeat.
It is a repeat in the leads here. I think, it makes a little bit of sense, right? The lead here for Justin really wasn't that bad. It was kind of just how the lead played out that made the beginning of that first game pretty bad for him. If you are able to get something like a fake out into Archelodon, prevent another Electro Shot, and then maybe go for maybe some damage right away, just to make sure this Archelodon doesn't have kind of a free pass for the rest of the game. The Archelodon outspeeding Golden Go is also a really big deal for Wolfe here, because it means that if you get, a turn where they're on the field at the same time, you will get that Electro Shot off.
Well, I guess we started with them on the field at the same time, but it's not how this turn is going to end, as Archelodon takes its lead and Gothitelle coming on in. So a little bit of an adjustment coming out from Wolfe, whereas Tang is sticking with the same game plan he did in game 1. Nasty Plot, again, that is going to be the +2 to that special attack. Now, Incineroar gets a chance to be switching out.
Incineroar does get to pivot, so it's kind of a repeat of that first game. Not in the same order, I guess, because we did have the Archelodon stay on the field on that first turn, but the parting shot, allowing it to come right back in here. It's going to be a very familiar situation to that second or third turn of game number 1, because now Gothitelle has its Fake Out active. Rillaboom is at -2 attack. Golden Go is at +2 special attack, but we've seen it not do very well into that Electro Shot.
I like how we went down a different road, but same destination at the end of the same game.
All roads lead to Gothitelle.
All roads lead to Gothitelle, and eventually Incineroar as well, as that's going to be a parting shot and now a second Intimidate onto this Rillaboom. So not much damage coming out on all, and none with that target into the Archelodon. Protect on the turn, and we got to see already Tang also going for the Golden Go. Of course, when we saw that this was a Golden Go that was fallen by this Archelodon right away, Justin needs to be putting some pressure on, but now the Golden Go is used to protect, and the Archelodon is free to go for an attack next turn. There is the option of a pivot if you want to. You're not trapped, but into what? It's not going to appreciate a hit either.
That's a really heads-up play from Wolfe, knowing that Justin probably wasn't going to let Wolfe use that Power Herb Electro Shot on that turn, opting to protect our Archelodon instead, which means that now this coming turn, if you want, you can opt to go straight for that Terra Electric Power Herb Electro Shot and hopefully one-hit KO this Golden Go once again.
And Terastallization in the match. Rillaboom swapping out at -3. It's something that you couldn't stick it around for the damage, as Archelodon again is going to be Terastallization target of choice for Wolfe into that Terra Electric. So I feel like we have a pretty good idea of what is about to come. Last time, this Archelodon did damage with this Electro Shot, and with this Terastallization, I expect nothing less. Of course, Power Herb means right away it's going to be able to attack into target of choice. And with Golden Go being such a key piece of the match, no surprise to see it target down here. Golden Go is going to hang on this time, though. 8 HP, and that will be a Shadow Ball fired right back. And Archelodon also just holding on. That will be sturdy. So next hit, and now you have the Sneasler, will be able to take it out.
Really good from Justin there, confirming that Electro Shot in game 1 was a damage roll. I had my suspicions, but I wasn't confident that, maybe Golden Go has the potential to possibly survive one of those. That's a huge swing in Justin's favor, though. Now, there is no Fake Out active on Wolfe's side of the field, thankfully, because this Incineroar just used it on the Sneasler swap. And now that Sneasler is on the field, we got the Rillaboom off the field, like you pointed out. That means that the Intimidates are no longer active. There's actually no attack drops anymore because this Incineroar been on the field a little bit.
Just a wee little bit, and the Archelodon maybe an overstayed welcome. So pesky in game number 1, and Sneasler, fastest thing, will be able to easily hit into it, take the KO. Make it rain now from Golden Go, +2, but into the not very effective Incineroar, not too much. But if there is any swap, it would not have been appreciated. Knock off, we will just trade KOs on this turn.
KO is traded, but I think a trade that Justin Tang is very happy with there. The Archelodon finally has been knocked out, and now the +1 Dragon Pulses and Flash Cannons are no longer a threat. The Sneasler, still on the field, again, is not intimidated. We have the full power of the potential close combats and Dire Claws. Rillaboom can also hit the field there, which should be able to go for Fake Out before Gothitelle. So you have the option to get a faster Fake Out, make sure that your Sneasler isn't flinching, and now you're threatening a big close combat because Wolfe's Incineroar cannot Terra Ghost, as the Archelodon has already used that resource. So now this Sneasler actually in a very strong position.
Looking at the Sneasler as well, there's one thing that we got to see clicked that we haven't necessarily seen in all these Sneaslers as of late. It's that coaching. When you're looking at a Rillaboom that got that attack drop so consistently in that game 1 that maybe you want to deal with that damage later on, that's a way to be boosting that back up. And Incineroar is switching on out this turn and will be an opportunity to see what is in the back for Wolfe. It will be that Politoed, the happy little frog, making an appearance, and with it, the rain.
Rain does come, but doesn't matter too much anymore because our Archelodon is gone. Fake Out into the Gothitelle means that it will not be acting this turn. And coaching, like you called out, Sierra, comes out. This Rillaboom now at +1 attack and defense.
And that's going to be big, especially with that Incineroar swapping out, because even if it switches back in, this Rillaboom is still just then going to be at neutral. So you're starting to get a little ahead on this trade and make sure that this Rillaboom and this damage output isn't going to be consistently suppressed on us.
Rillaboom in neutral, and also Sneasler's White Herb is still active, so if Incineroar does swap in, the Intimidate will immediately be canceled out, and Unburden will be activated, which won't matter too much because it's already going to be the fastest thing on the field here. But Justin has put himself in a position where you have two physical attackers on the field, and Incineroar can't swap in and mitigate their damage, which is a pretty rare position to be in, but a very strong one at the same time.
And that's where we really do get to see this team building, this utility come in and setting up just perfectly to counteract the situation. And now, as you see these two Pokemon, Politoed protecting, when you're sitting across the field from this +1 Rillaboom, makes a lot of sense. The Gothitelle is not going to be quite as fortunate, though. We got to see it didn't do the most amount of damage in Game 1, so that's going to stay true. Protect from the Rillaboom. Now the Gothitelle will get this opportunity to act. It is going to go for the attacking move in this case, and Sneasler is just gone.
Yeah, Sneasler was in a pretty good spot, but unfortunately for Justin, did not double target that Gothitelle on a turn.
Doesn't look happy about that either.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be either. You had the chance to take a KO there, and I think, you know, because the protects were both active, you maybe had to think about, is Wolfe going to double protect? Is he going to try and call me doubling a slot and protect that one? If you had gone for the double into Gothitelle there with the Drum Beating and the Dire Claw, with the +1 attack boost, that might have been enough for a KO there, which would have, I think, just blown the game open in your favor.
Well, at this point, you got to deal with what you have. And as we see the Ninetales on the field, we'll see the Incineroar back out for Wolfe. And now this Rillaboom brought back into the neutral position. So still can deal some damage, but not quite enough. Encore from the Ninetales. When we look at the utility that the Gothitelle has and maybe wanting to offer slower things, this means it's now going to be locked into Psychic. High horsepower into the Incineroar, though. It's not going to get the KO after that Intimidate. The Psychic back into Rillaboom, not the most amount of damage.
I love that Encore because Trick Room going up probably means the game ends almost immediately if Wolfe gets that speed advantage for a few turns following. But now Gothitelle is locked into Psychic. It's not going to be invested too heavily in special attack, you would imagine. So these Psychics not doing too much damage. And high horsepower, a really good call there because that Incineroar was looking like a bit of a problem. But since it came in on that high horsepower instead of a grass type move, now it's in range for another high horsepower, maybe even a Blizzard. It's looking pretty low there, and so that's a much stronger position for Justin, especially considering this Ninetales also does have Aurora Veil. You have the option to set it up this turn and prevent even more damage if you'd like.
Now Politoed is going to reappear, so it's going to be raining again and get that weather control fake out into the Rillaboom. Something that we have to look at as the game goes on is getting into a position where you can just go for something like a Perish, but the Incineroar having taken so much damage, it then gets really so.
This is a weird spot now, too, because rain going up means that there's no more snow the rest of the game. Politoed is still threatened by Drum Beating from this Rillaboom, and Incineroar taking the Blizzard there means that maybe Icy Wind knocks it out. I think you don't really want to be going for Blizzards here because it is only 70% accurate without the snow up, and an Icy Wind is much more accurate despite not being 100% like some players might want.
Well, the Incineroar is not going to stick around to find out, so whether it was or was not enough, we'll never get to see. Blizzard, that is going to be the choice. It is going to connect on both, but not really the most amount of damage, and Gothitelle actually going to be off better in that trade, getting that Citrus Berry. The Drum Beating, the follow-up, that's going to be where we need to see how much damage is done into the Politoed. Super effective, but not enough for this KO. Of course, the speed's going to fall, but that's not going to matter when you're looking at the Perish song. And when you're looking at Justin Tang down to final 2 Pokemon, that is the song you don't want to hear.
That is a rough miss on the KO there for Justin. You have to imagine that, you know, I don't know if connecting a Blizzard on the prior turn and Politoed would have moved the needle there because it is taking so little damage from those Blizzards. But now that Perish Song is active, Justin has to find a way to win the game in the next 3 turns because Wolfe does have the option to swap out, remove that Perish Song effect from some of his Pokemon and try to win the game just by that Perish Song here. Justin, though, does still have the Terra Ghost, so Fake Out, which is a huge tool for these Perish Song teams, is no longer an option into this Ninetales.
Something, again, that you called out, though, about Wolfe's team, especially when Justin is on a timer, every single Pokemon has Protect, and that's something that you can just see these Pokemon chain off to make sure that, hey, they're not leaving the field anytime soon. So sure enough, that's the double Protect coming on through. So nothing that Justin do can get, well, any sort of mileage from this turn.
Yeah. Even like you double protect in front of an Encore Ninetales, which normally maybe isn't the greatest idea, but the nice thing about Wolfe having Protect on all 6 Pokemon is that as soon as he gets you down to 2 Pokemon remaining, if he has 3 left and gets a Perish Song up, he can then double Protect. One of these 2 Pokemon, either the Politoed or the Gothitelle, can switch out this following turn into Incineroar. Then the Perish counts go down to 2, and then the turn after that, you can just protect the Incineroar, or even go for Fake Out, whatever. It doesn't really matter, because at this point, Wolfe is essentially locked up a victory. You know, there's only 2 more turns where these Pokemon can stay on the field, and because Wolfe can swap out and reset Perish counts, then have the option to protect later on, I actually don't think there's a way Justin can win this game anymore.
That's going to be the first swap in, yeah, with the Incineroar coming in. Even if you do get the double KO on this turn, it can just be that Politoed on the final turn just going ahead and protecting and just watching all of the Pokemon on Justin's team just fall. Blizzard, not accurate anymore. Incineroar, it's not going to be connecting there. It is just a drum beating to follow up with that damage. So Gothitelle, like, it doesn't even go down. Like, there's nothing here.
Yeah, I mean, the speed drop there, we'll take it, I guess. We can take those small victories where we can.
Consolation prize.
Yeah, exactly. Now the Gothitelle is at very low HP and -1 speed, so take that.
Yeah, I think that's a trade that you take any day, as with just 1 turn of this Perish Song left. 3 Pokemon for Wolfe. He gets to showcase yet again these different modes of this team and being able to get an early Pokemon advantage, get Justin Tang down to his final 2, how you can just lock up a game from there. Rillaboom won't even get to act. That's the fake out to stop it in its tracks, and yeah.
That's so funny.
Rillaboom will get to see, like, I don't know, man.
That's the more fun way to concede a match, is just encore yourself. It's just like, the crazy part about a team like Wolfe's is that you have to take in, like, the Perish Gothitelle mode early game into account. But if you just get 2 knockouts early on, if you're Wolfe, you can also just bring in the Politoed and Perish late, and like you don't need Shadow Tag when they only have 2 Pokemon left.
Oh, that's exactly it.